Hello, hello. Tian Connaughton of tianconaughton.com here to talk about my new novel, Death by Drop Spindle. This is my sophomore novel. It's a cozy mystery with a yarny twist. It's about a knitwear designer who goes to a retreat, and the yarn store owner is murdered, and she reluctantly has to figure out who does it. And in the midst of it, she has to keep herself safe as well because there's a killer out there, right? So that's Death by Drop Spindle. There's some twists, some secrets, just a lot of intrigue that I think you will love, especially as a fiber artist. Now, I wanted to do a Q&A with some questions I've gotten. So I'm going to go through a few of these in this live. So I'm going to go through a few of those in this video, and then in a future video, I'll do more. So send them in. Let me know what questions you have about me, my writing process, or the story. Okay, so first question. Death by Drop Spindle combines two of my favorite things, mystery and fiber arts. What inspired you to merge these two worlds into a murder mystery? Well, I am a cozy murder mystery fanatic. I love reading them. I've been reading them since I was little. And I love the ones that involve like crafty stuff. So I wanted to create one with a craft that I knew, knit and crochet and some spinning. And that's not something I see a lot of. And when I do see those, I don't see folks that look like me represented in those stories. I don't see Black people, people who are not standard size, queer people, whatever. I just don't see those people represented in those stories. And I figure, why not? It's not an easy thing to write a book, but I think I've read enough books. I've been writing my whole life, different things, poetry, fiction, nonfiction, all sorts of stuff for a long time. My philosophy is put the thing out there that you want to see. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see more representation of this industry that I love, that I really, and I'm involved in a lot. And I wanted to put out there, I wanted to show that people like me are in this industry and we are not just background characters. We can be the lead. We can be main characters. So when I came up with the story, it's based off of me going on this retreat, and I'm in my room sitting there and I'm thinking, what if? Now, this stuff did not happen at that retreat, but it's just me sitting there in my room thinking, what if? What if I'm at this retreat and this happens? You know, I'm tapping into my Agatha Christie mode, you know, my Miss Marple kind of vibe going on, where I'm thinking about, what if somebody like me is at this thing and something happened? How would we go about doing it? And I tapped into that yarn shop a lot that I was at. I tapped into a lot of the vibes. I tapped into a lot of myself as a knitwear designer, crochet designer, and my personality of like, would I be jumping in gung ho like, yeah, let's solve this? Or would I be kind of like, I just got here in this industry. I'm just now making steps towards where I want to be. And I don't want to ruin that by getting involved in this thing. And that's Hazel's mentality as she's going through sleuthing. She's like, I've been trying to get here for a decade. I've been working at this and I just got these opportunities. I don't want to ruin it, because as a Black person, we know that one false step could ruin everything for us that we're building up to. So we can't afford to make silly mistakes because we can't fail forward. We never fail forward. We always fail backwards, and that affects others who are coming behind us. So that's Hazel's mentality when she's like, well, this thing is happening, but it really doesn't have anything to do with me, and I don't want to get involved. But she's reluctant. Deep down, she wants to be a helper, right? The book that she wrote in the story is about helping people. So she tapped into that every time. She's like, I don't really want to get involved, but she's like, I really have to get involved, reluctantly. So when I'm thinking about mysteries, cozy mysteries, and fiber arts, that was just a natural thing to combine for me, because I've read so many cozy mysteries, and I want to see people like me in those stories, and I never did see those. I hardly ever saw Black folks, period, in those stories. Now we're seeing some, but I want to see more. And like I said, I'm going to put out there the things that I want to see out in the world and make sure that they happen. All right, so that's question number 1. Let's see. Question number 2. The setting of Yarmonious feels so rich and cozy. Is it based on a real shop, or did you create it entirely from your imagination? So that's a combination of both ideas, right? It's based off of a yarn shop, or the feeling I have of a real yarn shop, but I've added in things that I would love if I had a local yarn shop like that, right? I have a yarn shop that's about 45 minutes away. I can go there, but I don't have the yarn shop in the book where you see people just sitting there and knitting, crocheting, and have community and just hanging out. The yarn shop I go to, I go in, I buy, and I leave. It's not that vibe. And the shop that I went to for the retreat, they had that vibe, and I was so hungry for that. I wanted to bring that back, but I wanted to bring it back into this story and imagine what it would be like if it was owned by a Black woman, a previously famous woman. How would she have built this into a community? What was her motivation for that? Why would she be doing this and not just go live her rich, famous life somewhere else? But the richness of the shop, the yarn shop, the feelings that you get when you read that story, it's a combination of what I've seen in bits and pieces from yarn shops that I've visited, and what I want to, I imagine like my perfect local yarn shop would be, that I can go to not just Thursday nights or Saturdays, but like every night of the week, because there's something different. There's a different group there. There's just a richness of community, and that's what I hunger for. So in my stories, yeah, I'm talking about a lot of reality, like the characters, but I'm also blending in things that I crave in this industry, in my local community, things that I don't have, and then I'm putting into my, my fiction writer head, like, what if I could do this? I know it doesn't exist in real life for me, but if it did, what would that look like? And this is what Yarmonious is. It's what I wish I had locally, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a town away, 2 towns away, that I can go to on a regular basis and just interact with like-minded people. So yeah, it's a combination of stores that I've been to, like a variety of stores combined, along with my imagination of like putting them all together and just like making it perfect. And it's, for me, I think it's pretty perfect. Okay, next question. Without giving too much away, what was the most challenging part of crafting the mystery? Did the killer's identity change during the writing process? The killer's identity didn't necessarily change, but they morph, they evolve. Their reasoning for why they did it evolve. Like originally I was thinking it was just like the surface level thing, why it happened. But then as I explored the character more, or the characters like reveal themselves to me and tell me who they want to be, their reasoning became so much clearer, so much richer, that it didn't necessarily change who they were from when I first started, but their mindset evolved. Why they were doing it evolved. Why they were like, why it had to happen that time. Why did they have to do it? Were there other options they could have taken? And I think for a lot of writers, or I think for a lot of storytelling, when I'm reading it, I want to understand why they did what they did, what led the perpetrator, the killer, to do what they did, and what did the victim do, and what could they have done. And a lot of times, you're reading a story and you're like, well, the victim could have done so many things to prevent this thing from happening. But did they know that? Did they know that was an option? Did they know that if they had made a different choice, something else would have happened? Or did they think that was their only choice, and then the murder, that was their only reaction? So for me, the challenging part was creating a seamless story to get to why at the end, because I couldn't tell, I couldn't give everything out all at once, but I wanted you to understand their thinking, each character's thinking for why they did what they did. It wasn't just like spur of the moment. Well, was it spur of the moment? Could they have made different decisions? I think we all can make different decisions, but in the moment we choose what we think is the best, and then the other person have the choice to react in a way that they feel fit. And this is what happened. So the identity of the killer did not change, but their reasoning, the complexity, the richness of their mindset did evolve. If that makes any sense. Okay. All right. Another question. The drop spindle is such an interesting choice for a murder weapon. How did you decide on it, and did you do any special research to make it believable? So I've done some research, but I'm also a spinner. I started spinning with a drop spindle. I have a variety of drop spindles in my possession, small one, big one, various sizes, various weights. So I did understand how a drop spindle could be used. But I also understood the limitations of the drop spindle. So when you're reading through the story, I want you to really understand, like, you might see a drop spindle in a shop and you're like, that might not work, but just keep an open mind that there are a ton of different types of drop spindles out there. There are some that are made out of wood. There are some that are made out of metal. It's a variety of material, shape, size, construction, whatever. But the basic form is the same. And I talk about that in the book a little bit. I try to explain how a drop spindle, I try to explain the shape and the construction of the drop spindle. So if you have no idea what it is, this book will sort of explain it to you. And then there's Google. You can go look it up. But I did have some basic knowledge of a drop spindle because I've been spinning for a lot of years, and I know what they can and can't do, what different materials are capable of. So that was really interesting to add that element to it, because what I really wanted to do with the drop spindle, I had to make sure that it could happen. don't ask me why my husband is scared of me when I'm running around the drop spindle now. But I had to make sure that a lot of what I was putting in was believable and also realistic. It could happen. So yeah, it was an interesting choice to use a drop spindle because I wanted something that would be, accessible in a yarn shop. It wouldn't be something special that they could just like, oh, well, so-and-so has this one thing, so it has to be them. It has to be something that was, it's accessible to the yarn shop. And I didn't want to just use a knitting needle or anything else like that for this story. Which means, future stories, there might be murders with knitting needles. And you'll have to stay tuned. Okay. All right. One more question. Shanice, the owner of Yarnmonious, is such a compelling victim. How did you develop her character? And did you ever consider a different victim? Shanice is an interesting character because I am a child of the 80s and 90s, and I remember all these, girl band groups, and I'm like, what are they doing now that they're older? Maybe they have kids, they're settled down. Are they just living in a mansion, just chilling? Or are they out there doing something creative like sewing or running a yarn shop? So I made up this band and created this character, and I just went down that rabbit hole of what if. And you'll see a theme where everything I'm doing is like what if, and I just kind of pull on that thread to see what could happen with that character, with that scene, with that thing, by just asking what if, because I don't know. I let these characters be themselves. Originally, Shanice was, who she is, but she wasn't as, she was a very lovable person in the community. But I needed to add some dimension to her to make her a character that everybody loved, but has secrets, because we all have secrets. We all have this outside facade that people see on a daily basis, but who are we underneath, and who knows those secrets about us, and what can they use those secrets about us to do to us? And I was thinking about her, Shanice, and I was thinking, well, could it have been like something from her music industry? Could it be somebody from her past? Could it be like a manager or something? So I went on that rabbit hole of thinking, what if? And I went and I just followed that trail, just pulled on that thread and see how all these characters that are in the book could affect her, what secrets they could have, and having folks come in from outside of the regular community. Could they be putting in could they be creating some extra tension? Could they be causing that shift? Maybe, somebody comes in and they knew her from before and now they're causing some issues. So I'm pulling on all these different threads of what could make her be a victim. Why? And I wanted it to be the yarn store owner because I love the idea of someone who is so beloved in a community having secrets that somebody could really be affected by so much that they're so angry that this person has to pay the price. Right? Because so often we see these bigger than life characters in our community, outside of our community, wherever, and there's something deep, dark down that they are hiding that we as a whole don't see. But what they've done has affected someone so profoundly. And I wanted to show that what you're seeing on the outside isn't the entirety of that person. And someone is affected. And they're going to have to pay for that, whatever reason. they're gonna have to pay for that. So yeah, with this story and with all my characters, I want them to grow themselves. I want them to tell me who they want to be. I have a general outline of what they want to be, but as they are interacting with other characters, as we're developing their backstory, they become whole people that, it just doesn't make sense for them to do certain things based on who they are. And that becomes very apparent. And then certain things become even more apparent that, based on their character, based on who they are, of course they would do that thing or whatever. So for me, coming up with these characters is just coming up with like a general overview of who they are. And as they grow in the story, as they interact with different situations, different people, they become their own individual person, right? They have their own minds. They do what they want to do. And I just write it down. For the most part, I just tell you what they are doing and they just do whatever they want. And I just have to like, okay. Sometimes I might throw in that question, what if they do this thing? And then just see what happened. So that's 5 questions about Death by Drop Spindle. We're talking about the book and about the story. I'll be back with more Q&As. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in my socials, emails, or wherever you find me. I love talking about this stuff. So please feel free to send more questions and let me know. Are you a spinner? Do you knit or crochet? Have you started the scarf that's featured in the book? And if you have, tell me about it. And if you'd like to do a knit along, also let me know. What else? If you haven't picked up a copy of the book yet, Death by Drop Spindle is available in ebook for immediate download right now. I'll drop links below of where you can get all the details. And it's also coming out in paperback. I just received my author copy, so I'm reviewing it, make sure it's all set, and then on April 19th, I will have copies to mail out with some goodies for folks who purchased the paperback. And you will get a signed paperback copy directly from me. So if you have not purchased a copy yet, go ahead, check out the link below. If you have, thank you so much for your support. You mean the world to me. You are helping me achieve this dream that I've had for decades, that I never thought would be possible. And I am so honored to be able to share these stories that are in my head about people who look like me, that look like you, tell stories that need to be told. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I cannot wait to chat again. Bye.